During a recent Anniston City Council work session, council members expressed concerns on the impact of deannexing parts of Golden Springs into Oxford.
So they have the senator of the state of Alabama, the pro tem, has asked for such a thing, which would devastate this community. Is about $80 million in the red for police and firemen funds. It's about $10 million last count in the state retirement fund for the employees. Another $15 million in the red. We just renewed the bond for the jail. $2.6 million for development at club, whatever that is. Another $3 million we just borrowed. We borrowed $200,000 for the lights at the volleyball or soccer field, whatever that thing. Yeah, volleyball field there at the club. Soccer. I just checked to see y'all are pretty quiet, making sure y'all were not asleep.
And as far as him taking this to legislative reference, he is doing what the citizens asked him. He even said, I don't even know that I would be for this. So I think we're misplacing our criticism of this man when he's just doing what the citizens asked him to do. And in my opinion, the only fair thing would be to have the citizens of the city of Anniston and Oxford vote the same day. That would be the only democratic way of doing this.
When she talks about he's only doing what the citizen requested of him, we've asked him to have the legislature to change the form of government that we have. Nothing. We've asked him for the police chief and the fire chief position to be put out where allowing the council, which the council has voted unanimously several times to allow that to happen, and nothing. So he's not necessarily doing what the citizens has asked him to do.
Yeah, this council has not done that.
Well, I'm talking about from history now. That's a good thing about history. I've been around for a little while. And knowing that.
All right, so again, okay, we got a resolution that would be prepared, or Mr. Downey that needs to be prepared in opposition to this proposed legislation, which is, I guess, all it can be called at this point. And then there would be another resolution offered by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Reddick, to explore the possibility of hiring outside legal counsel.
Right, because
which we would then have to determine if that's a special court.
But don't rush me off this hotspot yet. I'm not through with that.
Which hotspot are we talking about?
This hotspot right here. I have received several calls and comments on this issue, and they're talking about getting part of Ward 3 out of this. And representing Ward 3. I don't know how much the other folk gonna fight. They're not getting one green if I can. Now go ahead, 'cause I'm not through with it. I'm not through with that sentence.
Well, I think the resolution would be the city of Anniston being opposed to.
Sure, I know that, but I just want to talk what I'm talking about because there's a lot of people out there waiting.
Okay.
People out there waiting to hear what we're saying in opposition to the tonight.
I think a unanimous consent resolution would be, a good voice.
Well, let me say something for the record. I represent all citizens of Ward 4. This is not about me personally, it is about the citizens. I'm hearing both sides of this. And I understand their frustration, but I have personally said I'm against this. But I will be abstaining from any vote related to this because I'm representing all of these people, and it's not about my personal feelings or my opinion, it's about representing all the people. So I will be abstaining. So I'm just going to say that right now.
There's nothing out there other than a resolution where we are going to vote to oppose this as a city.
And let me tell you why I'm discussing it. I'm discussing spending time on it. It's not to be a microwave fix. It's because right now, with that hanging over us, any business entity will be hesitant coming into Anniston because they don't know if we're going to split, divide, or whatever.
Not only that, it affect if we wanted to do a bond or anything else, it would directly affect that because we haven't seen the resolution. They're trying to get every business in Anniston annexed out of Anniston, leaving us with no ability to pay back debt that we currently have. So, I think that's...
Well, that's why this is speculative and hypothetical.
Exactly. Nobody's seen it.
So So anyway, look, I mean, let's just all be respectful of each other.
Right.
Look, this is an issue that again, we have agreed to address via a resolution opposing this legislation. We will have ample opportunity during our regular meeting to discuss this. We've got plenty of time hereafter to discuss this.
Well, see,
But okay, look, you're right.
listen. I am being interrupted constantly by you, man. And a lot of people have told me, so what's wrong with that guy? They're telling me, you ain't ready to get talking, you want to cut in, you want to cut in. This is a serious issue that I'm looking at our school system. I'm looking at the dilapidation of Ward 3 and West Anniston, South Anniston. I'm looking at business undeveloped in these particular areas. And then we're looking at a senator, the pro tem of Alabama, proposing something that can't even talk to us, and she's saying he's just doing the will of the people. The will of what people? The will of 5?
The council did pass a resolution to hire an attorney to fight the deannexation legal litigations every inch of the way. Then Councilman David Reddick brings up concerns about housing vouchers. Reddick claims the vouchers are being used possibly to house some Anniston residents in Oxford. Councilman Jay Jenkins disagrees. Jenkins insists Reddick's opinion is inaccurate.
Because one thing, we asked for the CDBG funds to go towards certain things, and I feel like what we requested in a large part was ignored. But also, if the city of Anniston, if Anniston Housing Authority started going into cities like Oxford and trying to buy property, I mean, how is that going to work?
That's not what this letter said.
The letter said we're looking at branching out into places like Oxford.
No, it doesn't.
You're telling me that letter doesn't say that.
I'm telling you that it says that the housing voucher program, a housing voucher is not buying property. That is utilizing existing landlords to place housing, qualified housing applicants in other communities.
But our housing, and when they have vouchers, that money comes out of our pocket, right? So we all be paying for people to live in Oxford and places like that.
It doesn't come out of our CBDG money.
It comes out of our Anniston Housing Authority funds. We're just Anniston Housing Authority. We're paying for people to live in other cities. It's not fair. It's not right.
I would encourage you to do some research on that, and particularly I would encourage you to look at Dallas, Texas.
That's not unallocated funding. 2019 funding has all been allocated. This is unprogrammed funding at the current moment.
Okay.
I will say to the Housing Authority funding that we are speaking with them about, they have not expended any CDBG or home funds. When they meet that deadline, and if they don't have a good plan, a solid plan that the city will accept, then all of that money will come back to the city. So there's no risk to the city because nothing has been expended at this point.
I would encourage this whole council to support me and Ben on the way we spend funding that's allocated to impact our districts. First of all, y'all put almost zero fund money into our districts. Almost none. We get pennies if we get anything. And then when we ask to spend the money that's allocated to help us do work in our communities, you overrule us on money that we know, that we decide how it can best impact our communities. You say we got too many people in housing. You say we got too much public housing. We say, give us the money, let us take this money that the federal government is giving us to help build up our communities, so we can bring new housing development into our community, so we'll have higher property value, we'll have more land homeowners. Because another thing, the difference between people paying rent and people owning homes is when the neighborhood is owned by homeowners, that neighborhood is better. It's going to be lower crime. It's going to be better neighborhood participation. It's going to be the people who have their kids in school is going to spend more time involved in their kids' education. So we come up with a plan. This is how we bring in home ownership. And we get absolutely ignored for this, and we bring it to the council. Hey, can we put this money towards our community? I want to build homes in my community. I want to build housing developments. I want brand new developments in my community. And if we do it this way, we can do that, and we can build our community. So West Anniston can look like East Anniston. And you guys absolutely ignore us on that and overrule us on money that the federal government give to us so we can build our communities. And you telling me you would encourage me to study. So what I think is right for my community is moot. But what you think I should think, I need to study. That's basically what you're telling me. So you're right, I'm wrong. I need to straighten up and fly by your rules so I can be a better person.
No, sir.
All right. All right.
According to census data, Anniston's population is shrinking. Councilman Little believes he knows why. Little attributes the population decline to the Anniston Housing Authority. The Housing Authority has already demolished Cooper homes and relocated those families to other areas.
Litigation of the housing authority. You all should have received the letter that I sent out to the housing authority, and in the last paragraph, it talks about Section 8. In the last paragraph, it mentioned about I think sending people to Sachs, Weaver, Oxford, Easterboga, and I don't know what all the areas that we talked about. Again, every council member, elected official, every citizen should be concerned about the housing authority trying to do such an act. Did you know about that, man?
I did. I can't find the letter that you're referring to. When did you?
I sent it everywhere.
Yeah, we got it.
No, I look. I can't find it now.
Okay. And to say, you know, sending this is a census period, and here you have the housing authority that are moving people out of Anniston, and we need all the head counts that we can get. And we can have that Anniston. But we don't need anyone sitting up there putting people out, going here and going there. My concern is what you're deteriorating our community and voters' ability and just population in general, and what you're doing to the school system.
Well, I mean, the population in general. I mean, this could clearly affect the census count.
In the school system too.
Yeah.
Just a few days ago, the Anniston City School Board met for their first public meeting to discuss the budget for fiscal year 2020. The drop in student enrollment has been an issue with the school system since 2011. Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Thompson gave a report on the declining student enrollment numbers.
And for this year's funding, our annual budget is built around 1,910 students, 0.20. Not sure how we get to 0.20, but for our budgeting purposes, we're doing 1,910 students. If you flip over to page 5, you will see the average daily membership, the ADM that our numbers are based off of. And right now, we are in the middle of our account for next year's funding, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you can see the decline from 2011 through currently. And so I've been here since 2011, and you can just see how it's just steady population shifting. Students may be in another system. After the 40-day count, they come back to our system, but that doesn't help us because these numbers are based off where we are currently. And right now, we've been in conversation, Dr. Hill and I, and the team is going out in the next week or so to physically count all of our students, because I have a concern that our number could potentially be lower than the 1910 for next year. And that's due to, we could guess, we can think about things, but we know a lot of kids have been shifting with housing, and I know that's been a hot topic in the news. And so we are really going out to the schools to really physically count every child, because we know what we have for this year, but if we're projecting lower than next year, then that's a conversation that we're going to have as a board and superintendent and central office administrators.
And I couldn't believe what I was reading. That so you have Mr. McMahon and the housing director, and who has lied to the city, to this entire body before about Barbara Terrace. I mean, he just flat out lied about that. And he lied about Cooper Home. So he just lied, pants on fire, just lied, just fuck guy. And I'm just stating what he said that represents the lie. But that's happening. So you got the school that's affecting our school, affecting our population, the citizenship in Ward 3 and in the West Anniston community in general.
Another item up for discussion on the Anniston City Council work session agenda was an allegation that an Anniston woman was allegedly followed for quite a distance by an Anniston police officer.
You all received a letter from a young lady. It said one thing that I think she was started being followed on 15th Street, somewhere out there, and went all the way up to Brown on 21st Street, not 21st, on Highway 21. And the police pulled up beside her and pulled in between her and her sister that was following her and stopped her. And she asked why was she stopped? And said it was a lane change violation. Said his sister did the same thing, but was not stopped. Said he couldn't stop both of them at the same time. I'm just repeating what was said, but they give her a ticket for the lane change, but apparently a child, a 9-year-old child, I forgot the exact age of the child, was a ticket for restraint. And that is serious. If a child's supposed to be restrained, or an adult, it should be restrained. But my concern is if you followed from 15th, West 15th Street, that's a long way to be following out to around the bridge from the overpass at 431. That's a long distance to be following someone. And I know, I just don't think that we should be trailing people just to be trailing people and behind people. They, the ticket eventually stops, they hit the line. I mean, who don't hit that line every now and then?
I had a recent encounter with an Anniston police officer. I was pulled over by police near the intersection of Dollar General at the Blue Mountain intersection. I pulled over in the House of Tires parking lot. Let's listen as the officer explains why he pulled me over.
Hello, sir.
Hey,
My name is Officer Blanks from the Anniston Police Department.
Yes, sir.
I pulled you over because you were kind of swerving in between the lines.
That was the, I got 26s on here, and
Yes,
the
sir.
potholes, they tear your thing up, man. I got
I
a
understand.
dent, yeah.
You have
I do have a firearm right here in my console, and I have a permit.
All right. Keep your hands up on the wheel.
Okay.
Back up. Officer Biggs will come over your side.
Okay.
All right, so you want to just step down for me real quick?
Sure. Seatbelts on.
All right, let's go ahead. You can go ahead and move up for it.
You can hold. I got my permit.
Perfect. You got your permit, it's not an issue.
It's right there now.
All right. We'll check that in 1 second. We're just going to walk back to the front of our car to finish the conversation, okay?
Now notice, the officer said he observed me swerving between the lines. The officer also acknowledged the manhole cover at the top of Noble Street near the Chevron station. The officer said he noticed I swerved to avoid the manhole cover, but then the officer goes on to say he saw me approaching the line a few more times as I approached the Blue Mountain intersection. Now in my opinion, here's where the officer is inaccurate. I was coming from work around 2 a.m. in the morning, and no one was behind me when I avoided the manhole cover near the Chevron station. It was only until I got close to the Dollar General store near Blue Mountain when I noticed in my rearview mirror an SUV was speeding to catch up to me at the Dollar General intersection. That's when the officer put on his blue lights and pulled me over. So, there were no vehicles behind me when I avoided the manhole cover. There are more rough sections of pavement as you top the hill, passing the Chevron. These road infractions are all along the right shoulder of the road on North Noble, until you get to the Blue Mountain intersection. So it's likely drivers who know this stretch of Noble Street will cheat a little closer to the yellow line to avoid damaging custom rims or knocking their car out of alignment. The solution to this issue is simple. Repave the north end of Noble Street. That way drivers won't ride the line to avoid road issues. Or else, this is a road in Anniston where police can pick and choose who they want to pull over for the same lane violations over and over. In other city business, the council approved a motion for a grant to help fund the Dr. Satcher Health Institute.
I would just say I very much am in favor of pursuing a Satcher Health Institute. And while they may say no, I agree with the proposition that at this point it doesn't hurt to ask, and don't think asking would impact our ability to secure other grants. I've spoken to Mr. Little about this, so I'm in favor of asking. And again, we'd be asking our grant writer to make that request to the National Park Service. Any additional discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Reddick,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
No.
Mayor Draper.
Yes, that motion passes.
Now we'll listen to public comments from members of the community as they weigh in on how the city is being run and what they observe at these council meetings.
I come to you concerning this Forward for All thing, where a handful of residents have created a nonprofit organization formed to protect their profits. I don't know. It's all about property values, to wit, the loss of resale values of their homes is more important than the city of Anniston. This is going to devastate the city of Anniston. I'm wondering, Mr. Mayor, how come you're waiting on what? Let's speak up. City of Oxford, the mayor spoke up on that. Let's speak up. This is not good for the city of Anniston. I'm representing constituents. I'm representing people here. It's going to destroy the city of Anniston. This is not good. This is a handful of rich people that are concerned about 5% loss of their property. It's going to affect the school system. It's going to affect the entire city. We're talking about 6 schools. And so instead of being part of the solution, you're going to be part of the problem. And that cannot be. Every single one of you need to speak out. You need to make a lot of noise. You need to get in your wards. You need to talk to your people. Your ward. That's going on in your ward. You need to have town meetings and tell them what this is going to do. What these rich people, this oligarchic state that they want to do, and how it's going to damage the whole county. This is wrong. We cannot allow this to happen. I love this city. The people that elected you people, they're paying your salaries out of their tax money. We are not going to have this here in Anniston, Alabama.
Look, I mean, again, not only is this going to jeopardize the livelihood of our police and fire retirees, but it's going to hurt public safety now, okay? It would mean far less money for public safety. Our violent crime, folks, has actually been going down. So what's going to happen if we have far less resources for the police to fight that crime? And there's no question but that we lose at least one fire station. That's going to render us less safe. And by the way, what's going to happen to our insurance rates if that happens? Plainly and simply, deannexation would devastate Anniston and those retirees who rely on Anniston. I am absolutely opposed to deannexation, and anyone who's asked me, I've told them I'm absolutely opposed to deannexation. And my comments in the paper reflect that.
Our city is dying on our side of town. The roads on West 15th Street and out West Anniston, man, is worse than some dirt roads I used to ride on the back of my father's truck years ago. Bad. No money is being spent in Ward 2 and 3. Hey, Miss Miller, if my neighborhood looked like yours, I would love it. I have to come to your neighborhood to buy a loaf of bread. When Dixie, you have what you need over there in Golden Spring. There's no grocery store in my area. I have to come across the mountain. Over there where you live. You might not want me over, but I ain't got no choice. I got to get some bread for me and my kids. So if you guys want to move to Oxford and anybody else, feel free. Just go buy a house in Oxford and stay, and I wish you the best.
I look at the arguing, the fussing, and the fighting. I see a divided city already. Don't try to accuse people of dividing a city that's already divided. People that have been sitting here looking at what's going on, you all should be ashamed. And because that's not a good role model for anyone that's watching it. My thing is that if these individuals, and me included, if they annex out, what the difference in West Dallas and South Dallas? You're not getting anything anyway. You can't even get 30 houses built. You find $14,000, whatever, from 2014. You find all this money, but yet, all this time when people were trying to plug up leaks and things, you were turning them down. Well, why don't you try to look out for all the citizens in this city and treat everybody fairly? Don't sit up here and then start trying to talk about what somebody else is doing. If these people want some property value, then so be it. If it's going to work, I don't know. But thing over this, when I know what's not working, you're not working together.
I've been to many of these meetings, and one reason I don't is because of the bickering between some members. And I'm sorry if this sounds odd, but you guys seem to make it about a black-white issue. I don't see our city as about a black-white issue. I just see you talking on and on and on, whether you have anything to say or not.
But at some point, somebody has to stop that chain. Are we going to continue to live this? And I sit there and I watch you, Mayor, no disrespect to you at all, but I sit there and I watch you cut both of them off as they were talking. But these other two got to say whatever they wanted to say. I'm not making any judgment towards you. I'm not addressing anything. I'm talking to you all. I'm not making no accusation towards you. I'm not saying anything to it. I'm telling you what I see. Everybody here have a different opinion. I'm clearly stating my opinion, which I'm entitled to. So at the end of the day, like I said, I sit there and I watch you cut them off. But they said whatever they wanted to say. Yes, you can speak just like you told me. It's my turn to talk. You'll speak when I'm done, love. Thank you. But back to you all. We should make this about a unity, not division. All this killing, murder, all this stuff going on, but nobody's worried about that. We're worried about somebody doing something with a dog and a cat. That's not the biggest folk. That's not the biggest folk. Anniston school system going down the drain, but nobody's worried about that.
And I want to say, I love Wartburg, but I don't want to move to Oxford. If I had, I would move to Oxford, but I want to address you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were running for office, you came to my church, and you say you want to bring about racial harmony, but I noticed everything Mr. Little and everything Mr. Reddick said or wanted, we voted against it. But I want you to know that when you came out of church, you said you're going to represent the whole city, but I didn't get that tonight. It seemed like you were just only supporting 1, 2, or 3, but you weren't supporting these two. And I have relatives that live in these wards, and I think they need to be represented by the mayor. So, you're going to have diversity because we have different opinions. But I think when it comes to the mayor, I think you're supposed to try to see both sides of the aisle and not just one side.
And lastly, the Anniston City School Board is focusing in on checks and balances when it comes to spending, and they want to ensure federal funds are used in the schools. It's simple. If you don't use the federal funds, you lose those funds.
But when you send something down and it's not exactly like it's supposed to be, they send you some errors back. They may be just small errors or critical errors. But they still let you go on and work thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to do to be putting them together. And then you get way down, as they say, we're too far down the stream to go back. And since they letting us do it, we're just going on, whether it's directors or whatever, not correcting an EGAP. That's where your problem is. And see, if you don't put it right in EGAP to me, I can just request what you've done. But you gotta correct the errors. And I think that's what we've been doing to get the money. And see what happens, you're supposed to request just what you say. If it's as much as 10% over,
yes,
you gotta do what? Write a justification. Is why are you spending more than you asked for? And sometimes it's legitimate. And I just don't think we've kept, as they say, we haven't been checking the checkers, for lack of anything else to say. Because some of this would have been caught if and they give us leeway to correct, because this time of year everybody's busy. And we haven't done it, and they sent us the money, and then at the end of the year, we still haven't done the basic stuff to get the program approved. I I know that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
But it's actually true, but on top of that, the system does some checks and balances. The key is, what about the human checks and balances? And the accountability associated with that.
And you're right, the system does, but you were waiting on me to do, because you think I'm doing, and it's gonna let Mr. Thomas request it, because it thinks I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's gonna let Dr. Hill sign off on it, because it thinks I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Stay tuned for the latest Anniston City Council updates, as well as Anniston City Schools progress. Thanks for watching.